Hello, everyone, and no one, depending on when you're watching this. Hi. So I guess we're starting this stream with me just talking right now. Um, I guess welcome to another Let's Talk, reminiscent of the discussion and rant videos that used to be done. There's something in very particular I wanted to talk about today. It's actually another phrase or saying. It works for either or. But the expression I wanted to talk about today had more to do with. So it's the phrase that. I forget the actual quote. I had it in mind. I'm having a big brain fart right now. But the phrase itself talks about. The phrase itself goes, maybe it's not the person you wanted, but rather the person you needed. And it talks about relationships in a way where people had a tendency to. Yeah, a little bit late today, but I just got home from work. Busy day today. Busy day today. Luckily, the late ones usually only last 30 minutes. Oh, jeez. Plus, I have to compensate for the fact that I might miss tomorrow's stream. It was going to be Mega Man 3, but I actually have a business meeting on the side in regards to something I'm going to announce after, vaguely talk about at least, after discussing this topic. Which, like I was saying, this particular phrase that I was talking about, to reiterate, maybe it's not the person you wanted, but it was the person you needed. Now, this cores off, I'm sure this has been heard of, and Drakar, I'm not just directing towards you on this one. This is kind of a generic, hey, thing, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah. I feel like... I wonder why it's not showing up. That's a little weird, how the chat's not... Oh, there it is. There it is. That took a moment. Chat was not popping up right here at first. It's weird. I appreciate that, Jakar. I try to do that to help benefit, though. I try to keep it as frequent as I can. I know for the past week I've been missing a lot of days, but... I mean, yeah. Hey, Taylor! Anyway, like I was saying with the whole topic that I was discussing, that particular phrase, I find it interesting. I've been thinking about it a lot lately, just because now it doesn't directly apply to me because it's kind of a cynical phrase. Um, Taylor, I think you missed it, but I'm not sure if you heard the original one I was talking about. The phrase in regards to relationships of any kind going, maybe it's not the person I wanted, but it's the person I needed. Like I said, and you know this, Taylor. It doesn't directly apply to me, but it did. The more I thought about just relationships as a whole, the more my brain started directing towards that phrase and going, talk about this today. So here we are. That phrase is interesting to me because I've met a lot of people in my lifespan who have had failed relationships or relationships that I've failed in, which happy I did because it led to a really good one. And with that being said, I do understand the conflicts and stuff like that, but the more I analyze the people who I've known in the past, the more I come to terms with the idea that this phrase, it's like I said, it's a very cynical phrase, but it makes sense under the front of those who struggle in relationships as a whole, because they always seem to, and this is a mistake I've had in the past. Taylor, this is before I met you. Actually, Drakar, I think it was before I started doing live streams, so I don't think I was introduced to either of you yet when I realized this. But this particular phrase, I think, applies to anybody who sets very strict circumstances, and I don't mean just like guidelines like, hey, they have to have a good personality or they have to have, in some individual's case, I don't know why, a good body. I mean, when you think about that part, it kind of ends up happening in perspective anyway. Personality reflects how they appear physically to the eye of the beholder. But that's kind of a topic for a different day. The idea behind all this is just those who make extremely narrow and strict, it must be this kind of circumstances. I feel like the phrase that we're talking about today kind of apply to people like that. The people they want just don't end up matching what they need. A lot of the time when I analyzed individuals, when I was in high school, I think I started doing this when I was in maybe my sophomore year. It was either that or my junior year. But I started helping other people with their relationships and analyzing certain aspects to help me in the future, which mostly it worked, but there are portions. Hey, Noah, welcome in. But the interesting thing about it is just that these strict guidelines have a tendency to phase a lot of facts about the matter. And unfortunately, it leads to people thinking, hey, I want this kind of individual, give it to me. But when it's given, it just backfires. Now, even I can relate to that idea. When I first started, officially dating, which I didn't start doing that until I was like 21, I think. I thought I was 20, one of the two. I made the mistake of being very, very specific about the people I was with, and it led to a very dark path. Well, in relationship standpoint, and at that point, it was a case of, what am I gonna do? Like, I kept keeping those restrictions up until a specific point. I think it was about 3 years ago when I started broadening my horizons and opening my mind to other options and keeping an eye out of what my needs were, which is what a lot of people seem to avoid. I think the reason this phrase started existing is because of the fact that a lot of people would have like this fantasy mindset where prince in shining armor or princess in, I don't know, shining jewelry. They would have like this very specific stereotype that they'd aim for, and then once they got it, it would be a failure because it wasn't what they expected. They only knew like the ups of the stereotype, but none of the downs. Like, I think that's what that phrase directs towards. It's like you can't narrow your mindset or you just won't find what you're looking for. And it's interesting because the more I analyze different relationships, by helping, of course, and the reason I'm saying analyze and helping is because it was all confidential. And I'm not even going to go into detail about it because, like I said, confidential. But these individuals that I did help, a lot of them were friends of mine, very close friends of mine. It didn't really start coming together for them until they looked at their own needs and what they needed, and they looked at the other person's needs and said, how can I provide them? Am I able to provide them with the needs that they need? And those relationships are usually the ones that succeeded. I think that's kind of where the core stem of that phrase of, like, it's not what, rather than what they want, it's what they need kind of thing. I feel like that's kind of where that phrase kicks off. And I find it very intriguing. Just because of all like the time I've had and experiences I've had, it's easier to see that phrase as it's supposed to be, because when you look at it like it's vague terms, it can be interpreted different ways. And this is just my personal interpretation. That can be taken several ways. I actually met someone once who looked at the phrase and went, "Oh, this is what I need," when it was really just what they wanted. I mean, need and want can be very confusing and easy to mix up. It's kind of upsetting to a fault, but at the same time, it's understandable. I can understand why. I don't know. There's a lot about this that can make sense, won't make sense. There's a lot to it. I don't know. Let's see. I want to check something really quick. Okay. Well, I don't know. This is one of those things where it's like, I kind of just thought the topic off, like, I was told. I don't even know. The things that are coming out of my mouth for this are just things that I kind of think about it. I don't know. That phrase, it's old. It's old. Phrase as old as time. That was so off key. Anyway, that's interesting. Well, this was supposed to be a much. These Let's Talk streams are always going to be very, very short. But that kind of subsides topic number one. Number two, I've been talking with my friend Aaron, who I bring up a lot on here, recently, and, well, just kind of as a little announcement thing, his business that he's actually running at the moment, which I'm not going to talk much into, I've discussed it before very vaguely, I'm going to be vague again. Tomorrow we actually have a little bit of a business meeting where it's going to be like more of a sponsorship thing. I'm not going to talk too much into it because it's not a definitive thing yet. The channel may hold a video though. A video that it would be the first video in about 2 months now, maybe 3. It'd be the first time in quite some time where a video has been posted on the channel as an official video rather than a live stream. It's something that I wanted to present that I'm agreeing to help with as far as his business goes, and since I have the skills of an editor, or at least more so than most people he knows, I'm still kind of learning the ropes of all that, but I said that I would help, and I'm more than willing to. I've learned things over time and keep doing so that's going to be interesting. I'm not so sure about that one, Taylor. There are a lot of... knowing about relationships and being willing to help is a good up, but there are downs about me that would make it very tough. I mean, admittedly, I did go to college for psychology, but because of my circumstances at the time, which medical stuff I'm not going to get into on here at least, because of that stuff, my doctor had told me, yeah, this is not going to work out for you because memory, and she wasn't wrong. My neurologist told me that my memory is just not going to serve me well in that field, so I took the knowledge I got from the classes and I used it on here, where it could be useful permanently. Hopefully. Man, I don't know why I'm so thirsty right now. But I do appreciate that, though. That actually does me more than you might think, Taylor. So thank you for that. But yeah. I guess, like I was saying about the business thing, I have been talking with Aaron for a bit about this. I'm trying to be very vague because I don't want to say anything that is unwanted to be said. Once this whole thing has bypassed, and I believe there's going to be like a commercial trailer thing on here for them. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see when the time comes. I guess for now, though, as far as that factor goes, yeah, we're going to be having a little bit of a meeting tomorrow, which will probably prevent me from doing the Mega Man 3 stream again. Last week was a busy one. This week's a busy one. I'm gonna struggle to try to keep up. The day after is, I believe, the Nintendo Direct for the game Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. We'll be reacting to that. It'll be much, much earlier than our other streams normally are, but especially since I believe Taylor and I are going to be hanging out that day, later on in the day as well, so luckily it is done in the morning, like 10 a.m. Eastern time, which I believe for me is like 8 a.m., I think? I think it is. I don't know. I've never been good with times. I could always look it up too. But yeah, that's probably going to be the stream for that day, and then we'll be picking up again with normal streams daily. The only ones that will ever be missed, days that will be missed, are days I'm spending time with my friends Aaron and Jake, just because they usually come in the morning, and when they do come over, they usually stay throughout the day, which I'm fine with. It's good to have that company. It's also why I like for one of several reasons I like spending time with Taylor as well. I got distracted by the upcoming messages. I checked a cool place today. What place was that, Jakar? I was almost about to guess Bed Bath and Body Works, but then I read the second statement. I'm like, yeah, that can't be it. What'd you go to Lowe's? Or Toilets R Us? Forget Toys R Us. We got Toilets R Us. Can they come out with a store like that, please? I know Toys R Us basically went bankrupt, but that would be awesome if there was like a store called Toilets R Us. That would be amazing. If that existed, I would totally go there to purchase just something, just cause. That would be awesome. Oh my gosh. I'm very tempted to like just that game that we're deving on the side, which again the pause for that is because for some dumb reason RPG Maker MV is struggling. I appreciate that, Taylor. But I don't know. As far as like the business stuff goes, I've been discussing doing like I said, like a commercial or a trailer. I'm not sure directly what to call it right now. I'm going to be working on one of those with my friend and his company. I don't work directly for his company, but I did offer my the limited skills that I have. I'm still in the process of learning. It's another reason why I started streaming, one of several. I actually like interacting with you guys a lot, so I'm really happy I did start streaming instead, because it's a lot more unique. But the reason I have to get still in the habit of doing all these different editing things, it's not just because of that, because I'm willing to do that kind of stuff with them, but it's also the fact that, and this is kind of a third announcement thing, also involving Aaron and our friend Jake, who's also part of the company Aaron's running. At least Aaron and I, Jake maybe every once in a while, but we'll be like we're actually going to be running another channel called Sadist Central. I'm not going to spoil too much, but it's basically going to be like this one, except instead of streams, it's videos, and the videos are going to be they're either going to be cases, as it stands right now. This could change in the future, but basically as it stands right now, the channel is kind of a co-op channel where it's him and I kind of playing games that are either brutally hard on brutally difficult challenge kind of aspects. Like, for example, the Dark Souls 3 game I'm playing. A good thing that we most likely have on there at some point, if I don't do it on here, will be a Soul Level 1 challenge. Meaning extreme difficulty. But it kind of gives an idea. Like, stuff like that. Or like Devil May Cry, there's a mode called Dante Must Die mode, or Heaven and Hell, or Hell and Hell mode. Those will probably end up on there at some point. Or one example that I still have to do a stream of this game on my own channel, Vanilla, Quest 64. He recommended to do this with the most absurd task. Second most absurd task. Beat this, only fire. Because it runs with 4 elements. Fire is the weakest and the most useless of the 4. That's the basic idea of Sadist Central. Sadist or Sanctum. Sadist Sanctum. I think I said Central. The idea of that channel more has to do with, like, yeah, just challenges, sometimes taking, like, really easy games like The Legend of Zelda, making them brutally difficult by adding tasks that just make them ridiculous. Or take difficult games and make them even more so. Just, what a sadist would like to watch. Or in our case, a masochist would like to play. Or a sadist, depending on the logic you use. I don't know. We'll probably also do some live stuff at some point. And by live, I just mean like vlogs. Where we could probably like do some challenges. This is just an idea from my end. Nothing is solidified yet. The only thing that's really solidified is the background and the icon, which were created by us about a week and a half ago, I think. But yeah, so 2 different business things going on involving Aaron and I, and possibly JK as well, which is what I call Jake. We both do. It's just kind of a fun, little, easy, roll-off-the-tongue nickname. But, I mean, like, Aaron, I'll refer to him sometimes as, like, Aaron because of Key and Peele. Substitute Teacher is a great skit, by the way. But, well, those are those announcements. Now, I do have one other thing I was going to discuss, because I figured we wouldn't hit the 30-minute mark by the time all this kind of was placed. I guess could be a word for it. But, so I kind of solidified a schedule, more or less. Like I said, every once in a while, anytime that I'm hanging out with other friends, like in the mornings, I'm probably going to miss out because those friends have a tendency to stay all day long, which I'm fine with. It's good to have the company. Like I said earlier, I love the company. And if you say so, Drakkar, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what that makes me. I mean, I did claim I'm maniacal. I guess I'm also a masochist. In the sense of games. I'm not really a masochist in the more, like, the S&M sense. Not really that. Actually, funny story, now that I think about it, the channel that I brought up, when we were talking about it, one thing that originally came to mind for us was, like, we jokingly refer to, like, the gaming we do, like, when we're hanging out a lot. Like, we'll call it sadism. And even though it's technically masochism, since it's difficult games and we're technically torturing ourselves and not the game, because of that, I guess it's kind of a matter of, like, I guess we, like, one of the names that kind of crossed the channel point at a point was, like, S&M Gaming. I'm like, because, it's an interesting thing that people might want to look at, but it might also give off the wrong idea, which is why we didn't end up doing that. Not directly, at least. Well, they're not exactly companies as of yet. I mean, Nostalgia Train and Sadist Sanctum might be at some point once they get far enough. But as of right now, they're not. His company actually is a legitimate business. He's signed the legal paperwork for it. It's pretty much officialized. I'm just working with them. I'm just kind of like it's kind of a sponsorship, more or less, without quite hitting that point yet, I guess you could say. I don't want to take credit for that kind of thing, not until it's been solidified and bypassed. It's just not, we're not that far in yet. Although I do keep in touch, and I do try to keep posted out of interest on how well, like, the company's doing. Like, Aaron is in the process, being a programmer, He's in the process of still trying to finalize some of the things on the company's website, which, once again, I'm not going to talk about yet. Once I've gotten official permissions, I might, but until that point, I'm not going to do so. I don't want to reveal anything that they don't want talked about yet. I mean, Taylor, you know I support people. Like, I support you with all the choices that you've talked to me about. It's the same thing with him and his company. I supported his company before it even was a company. Before it was even shared like it is. Have fun with FNAF. Probably going to close off here soon in a few minutes anyway, just because I figured, announcing these few things might be a good idea. Just to solidify a lot of things. But thanks for dropping in, though. I don't know if you're sticking around while playing or if you're just going to go play, but either way, thanks for coming in. Anyway, but yeah, this few announcements for this, and at the beginning was kind of a short discussive thing, but it wasn't exactly planned. I don't script. I don't like scripting, because I'll make the script, because I've done this before, because there was a point where I tried to do a little bit of a story time for this. There was a point where I tried to do a script of like a theory about the TV series Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I'm not going to say what the theory... you know what? Screw it. So the theory, and this might ruin your childhood if you liked it. I'm sorry if it does, because the theory never officialized or anything. The idea came out. I started working on it, but I just couldn't get it to finish. But the theory was originally supposed to be that, I think it was... I think, if I remember correctly, the theory went that, I forget her name because it's been a hot minute, but the teenage girl who's the granddaughter of Madame Foster, if I remember, I don't remember her name, but because it's been a hot minute. If I remember correctly, the theory went that she suffers through PTSD and that the whole show is kind of surrounding that, symbolically. Now, it never lifted off the ground very much. I looked up like the symptoms of PTSD, and the symptoms stuck, but explaining it and going through with it was just... I never could get the words to connect. And even if I did, I guarantee I would not have stuck with the script. That part is why I don't script things. And I usually do things by improv. Like, what I just talked about, I wasn't planning on. I was just planning on talking about the beginning thing, the whole relationship phrase that I was discussing. But it leads into this when you improvise, because it kind of just says I say what's on my mind as it's coming, and if it fits, we put it in. But that particular script is the perfect example why I don't script things. I would space out half of it, and I'd end up going on a tangent on my own thing if I tried. It would just it would render scripting pointless. It wouldn't be worth it. It'd be a waste of time and effort just for the sake of not even using it. That being said, though, I don't know. It's... yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a way to close off that, but I've gone on so many tangents, going from what we started with to, like, everything that happened in the whole business thing to that circumstance I just started talking about. I don't know. There's a lot going on. There are so many things being planned, so many things being presented, and so many things in the works. Including what we're going to be doing, if I miss out tomorrow, which I probably will, the stream on Thursday morning. I'm going to have a busy day Thursday. Taylor, I know you know that for sure. But yeah, anyway, I am going to head off at the 30-minute mark, and as much as part of that was killing time, it is actually what was on my mind. Thank you, Noah, Jakara Best, and Taylor for jumping in and joining me today, and to anybody who kind of just jumped in to check out the stream really quickly. Thanks again, guys. I'll see y'all later. Bye.